Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. So guys, it looks like Kell Brook and Eubank have agreed a deal with the weight. They still got to agree, the numbers, and I think the A side, the B side, who gets what in terms of split wise. But this is what Calais Salon had to say. The weight has, as I understand it, there are middlemen that are acting here as well. I understand the weight issue has been finalized last week. Of course, the weight's important. It has to be fair to both. I think there's a solution for that now. Of course, it's about professional boxing. The guy walks around at 180 pounds. He walks around heavier than I do. He fought Golovkin at 160 and got in the ring at 168 on the night. When I fight at 160, the maximum I put on is 5 pounds. He will be bigger than me on the night if we fight at 160. People are talking about me coming down to 155. That's just not going to happen. It's about splits. It's about money. So that was Eubank talking about his weight and talking about Kell's size. This is now, the fight really depends on, we have a reasonable demands for what I believe is the market value. It's not now down to the sides to find a common sense agreement. I think it's a very big fight. It's a blockbuster. Do they really want it? We'll see. Okay, so that's Calais Salon talking about the Brook Eubank fight. You know what? I actually think this is I think it's a nothing fight, to be honest with you. I think it's, for Eubank, when you look at it, he's fighting a blown up, 150 pounder, 152 pounder. That's past his best. Got nothing to gain apart from money. I think it kind of shows us what Eubank really wants. He doesn't really care about fighting for world titles and becoming a world champion, which he's never done, by the way. It's all about money. And that's what it seems like, because otherwise, why would you be fighting Kell Brook? What do you gain out of fighting Kell Brook? Nothing, really. What does that mean? Beating Kell Brook? Nothing. So it's about money. It'll be a box office fight, which again, I don't like. Again, look, I think it's kind of ripping us off because I don't think it's a competitive fight in terms of, I think Brook gets battered in this fight against Eubank. Eubank's too big. Brook can't hurt him. And I've said over the years that I don't think Brook's got the greatest defense. So Eubank's going to find him somewhere along the line. Look, Eubank's not a big puncher. My brother, funnily enough, who's not even a big Kell Brook fan, actually thinks Kell Brook beats Eubank. But I just don't see how. The fight's probably going to happen at 158. They said they've agreed the weight, which inevitably means that the fight's going to happen. But I think people are getting carried away with the fact that Kell Brook beating a totally washed up Amir Khan, thinking that he's kind of some way back. I said that whoever Kell Brook fights next, Danny Garcia, Eubank, Conor Benn, any of those names, I don't think he wins. And I think it's kind of like I think it's a poor move from both. Personally, I think it's a poor move from both because I think Kell Brook, after having the victory over Amir Khan, that was a launch pad for him to get a meaningful fight that would actually be a legacy fight. Now, Kell Brook's done this before. He was a world champion. He had the opportunity to fight Jesse Vargas, and he didn't fight Jesse Vargas, and he took on Golovkin, a nothing fight, a fight that he was never going to win. And it was just a paycheck, really. There was no need for it. And he ended up costing him. It got his eye socket broken. Really, when he should have fought Jesse Vargas and become a unified champion. Or if he could have beat Vargas. But again, those type of fights come with risk. Because they're fights that you could lose, right? And you have a lot more from a legacy standpoint to lose. Where losing to Golovkin, you have nothing to lose. Do you see what I mean? He has nothing to lose fighting Golovkin. Again, he has nothing to lose to fight Eubank because there's already made an excuse fighting Eubank. Because you lose to Eubank, people will say, well, Eubank was too big for you. However, the fight that should have been made that would have helped his legacy is Danny Garcia. Now, Danny Garcia has openly said he would have been happy to fight Kell Brook. But I knew that fight wasn't going to happen because Kell Brook at this stage has made a lot of money. He would have got paid well to fight Danny Garcia, but it's a less riskier fight in terms of fighting a bigger man. Garcia can punch, so it's still dangerous at this point for him, and Garcia would be a favorite going into that fight. But from a legacy standpoint, you beating Garcia, Garcia's far more accomplished than Eubank. He's achieved far more. He also beat a prime Amir Khan, right? And he would be a favorite against you, right? Kell was actually the bookie's favorite to beat Amir, right? He wouldn't be the bookie's favorite to beat Danny Garcia. So that would have been a more interesting fight and a more legacy-defining fight for Kell Brook, because if he had lost to Danny Garcia, but again, it comes risk. Your legacy is affected by these type of fights. Even though he's at the end of his career, so is Garcia. But your legacy is affected because him losing to Danny Garcia, people will say, well, the Amir Khan fight was not that great a win because Khan was way washed. As soon as Kell Brook fought somebody that was near the end but had enough left, he got beat. But that will take away from his Khan win. But fighting Eubank, you've got nothing to lose because it's kind of like a free shot. People will say, well, Eubank's too big. Do you see what I mean? I get it. At this stage, it's probably about money for Kell Brook, and I do think the Eubank fight's a bigger fight. But the point is that, again, it's a dangerous fight, and Kell Brook's been down this road before. Now, Eubank's not a puncher like Golovkin, but still, he's a bigger man. And you can't hurt him. You can't push him back. Eubank fought George Groves, and George Groves couldn't hurt him. George Groves is a far bigger puncher than Kell Brook. So, again, if he like I said, in his Khan fight, he was barely, like, he couldn't even put Khan down, and Khan was all over the place. How's he going to put Eubank, who's known for a good chin, at his weight? Eubank's going to walk straight through him. So then it comes down to whether Eubank can find his eye sockets. You know, so I think it's a nothing type fight, to be honest with you. What does he gain from this Brook? Nothing. Fight Garcia would have been a good fight because Garcia would have been a proper fight. That would have been a fight which hurts your legacy. There's more risk on the line. Kell Brook's at the stage of his career where he's made a lot of money. I know right now it's about money, but the point is that he's made a lot of money, and the Garcia fight would have paid him a lot. You beat Garcia, then you're in contention, maybe for a title shot at 154 pounds. Maybe then he could have got a Liam Smith fight. Anyway, Kell Brook always has that backup plan of the Amir Khan rematch. That's there for him, even if he... But this is probably why he's taken the Eubank fight. Because he knows if I get beat by Eubank, I've always got that Khan rematch because Khan wants it. And even if the broadcasters don't want to pick up the Khan fight, I'm pretty sure Khan could take that fight to Pakistan, or he could take that fight to Saudi Arabia. And Brook, if he gets the right money, gets a few mil, he'll take it. Do you see what I mean? Because Brook will know I'm at the end now anyway. Another couple mil's not going to hurt me. And it's a fight which he won't care if he loses. Listen, he won't want to lose to Khan. He won't lose to Khan, going off what happened in the first fight. Even if the fight happens anywhere around the world, he'd be confident of stopping Amir Khan before, so there's no chance of a bad decision or anything like that because Brook most likely stops Amir Khan. So the point I'm trying to make is he's always got that backup option of fighting Khan again. So that's why I don't really think he's worried about... personally, I think the Garcia fight made a lot of sense. And a lot of people wanted him to fight Garcia. The overall people wanted to see him fight Danny Garcia, not Eubank. Eubank's a nothing fight. A nothing fight. And for Eubank, what's he doing with his career? Fighting Kell Brook, a washed up 150 welterweight, not even a light middleweight. Kell Brook's not a light middleweight. How many times has he fought at 154 pounds? How many times has Kell Brook fought at 154 pounds? What, once, twice? He's hardly fought at 154 pounds. This is when people said when Kell Brook... This is why I call nonsense on Kell Brook's defeats to Errol Spence. He fought Errol Spence, got beat, then he said he was going to move to 154. He didn't move to 154. He's going to now go and have a run at 154 and become a world champion. He never even fought anyone of any note at 154. And then he came back down to welterweight years later to fight Terence Crawford. Now he's going back up to 158. It's just a facade. Like, you've had a good launch pad with the victory over Amir Khan. You know, use that and fight a Garcia. Look to strengthen your resume. But no, you know, he wants to fight Eubank and probably get beat up by Eubank. Again, what's the point? You know, you take another loss. But again, it's no risk from a legacy standpoint because everyone knows he's going to get beat by Eubank. He's too big. And there's an excuse ready built in that Eubank's too big. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Kell Brook, like for me, even though my brother thinks that Kell Brook wins, and probably some of Kell Brook's fanboys would think he wins, he's got no chance, no prayer, in my opinion, against Eubank. It's too big, right? It's too big, and Kell can't hurt him. That's the big problem. Like the Garcia fight's different because although I still don't think Kell would hurt Garcia. Garcia's got a granite chin. He's physically bigger man. Kell Brook's bigger than Garcia. So if Kell Brook can find a way to 12 rounds, he probably wins by decision. Maybe the same with Eubank. But it's going to be difficult against Eubank because Eubank throws a lot of punches. If Eubank fights the way he normally fights, he throws a lot of punches. It's going to be hard to see Kell Brook, at this stage. Kell Brook's never had great stamina even in his prime to go the distance. And Eubank's a great athlete. He's very good. So, unless Kell Brook boxes a very good fight, which I just don't, like I said, I think, I don't know whether he can even take Eubank's power if Eubank lands. Can he take his power if Eubank lands on his eye sockets? Probably not. We saw Crawford wipe him out, and Crawford's a small guy. So again, and like I said, Eubank's tough. He's not going to go down. Even against a fully fledged middleweight, he doesn't go down, let alone a small guy. I think it's a nothing fight, personally. I don't like it. I wanted to see Kell fight Garcia. I would have really looked forward to that fight. This fight, yeah, I'll watch it. Of course, I'll watch it. But again, it's going to be put on box office, which is a bit of a facade, really. Fighting a small guy who's kind of past his prime against a guy in his prime who's a natural middleweight. It's terrible. I think it's terrible. And what does it really say about Eubank's ambition? What ambition does he have? Nothing, really, when you think about it. Fighting Kell Brook. I really think some of you guys are making too much of Kell Brook beating Amir Khan. That win, for me, flatters him. Amir Khan was totally finished as a fighter. He was totally past his best. Totally past his best. And you watch in this Eubank fight what happens. This is going to be a bad mistake. A bad mistake. I don't see him beating Chris Eubank. But again, it's money. Money talks. Money talks. It's obviously, look, Carl Frampton made a piece, and he was talking about Khan. He said that, Khan should retire. People around him should get some common sense in him and get him to retire. It seems to me like people around Kell Brook haven't learnt the first time what happened to him. And they're using these type of guys because Kell Brook's got a bit of a name. Khan's got a massive name. And they're kind of using, I don't know whether the people around them are using them to get every kind of last bit of penny out of them. But they might be vegetables by the time they get to 50. Do you know what I mean? If Kell Brook, there's a chance Kell Brook could take a battering against Eubank. Eubank's not a big puncher as well. Who knows? Kell Brook could take a beating here. He could catch a beating against Eubank. And he's already caught a lot of beatings in his career. He's already had a lot of tough fights. So why go in against a guy, that's way bigger than you? Way bigger than you. And it's not you can't hurt him. You're going to have to box smart for 12 rounds. And you're not got the great stamina at this point in your career. But then having said that, you could probably say the same about the Garcia fight. But Garcia's a smaller man. He probably doesn't hit as hard as a Eubank. He's a 140 pounder coming up, really. Kell would have a massive size advantage over Garcia. And Garcia was willing to fight you at 154. That's just makes so much sense. But it just clearly shows it's about the money. It's about the money, and this is a guy that's made good money. He made the good money from the Khan fight, made good money from the Golovkin fight. He made good money from Crawford, Spence. He's had 4 or 5 fights now that would have paid him well. And Garcia wouldn't be paying pittance. I get the Eubank fight, he's probably going to get more money, but your health. Carl Frampton said something. What's the point of having so much money if you're not able to count it? And he was talking about Khan. He goes, what's the point of having so much money if you're not able to count it? So true. But it seems to me these guys don't learn from past mistakes. Boxing's not a joke. It's a tough sport. Going in there with guys that are way bigger than you, and when you've experienced things in the past. You know, I think it's a terrible fight for both guys. I think it's terrible. I think it does nothing. It does something for Kell if he wins, if he can pull it off, which I don't see how. But if he pulls it off, yeah, it'd be a great win for him. But even then, Eubank's not even that accomplished. People would just say, well, Eubank was never that good anyway. Fighting Garcia, who's an accomplished fighter, you have something to gain. We know that Kell Brook can't fight any elite fighter. He can't fight the top fighters at 154. He can't fight the top fighters at 147 because we've already seen how that story ends. But he can fight a guy that's on the same kind of... But I still think Garcia is more fresh than him. But it seems to me like a more winnable fight, even though, again, Brook would be an underdog against Garcia. It wouldn't be a favourite. The bookies would have Brook an underdog against Danny Garcia. So that's why I think it's a more realistic fight. But anyway, leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you like this fight? Do you dislike this fight? Does it get your juices flowing? Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.